There is a certain morning in the middle of summer when you walk out with your coffee, look at the flower bed that stopped you in your tracks back in June, and feel something drop in your chest. The color is gone, the stems are leaning, a few leaves look dusty and pale, one corner has gone brown and crispy, and the whole thing has that slumped, tired look, like the bed decided the season was over and clocked out early. Here is what I want you to know before you touch a single plant. A tired bed in the middle of July is not a failed bed. It is a bed sending you signals. Most of what looks like decline is fixable, and most of the fixes take a lot less work than you would think. The mistake almost everyone makes is grabbing the pruners or the hose or the fertilizer and going to war with the whole bed at once. That is how good plants get hurt. So we are going to do this differently. We are going to walk the bed like someone reading a room. We are going to look first, name the problem we actually see, and then pick the one right fix for that problem. Nothing more. The goal today is not a perfect garden. The goal is a bed that looks cared for again and that finishes the summer stronger than it started, without you spending every weekend out there sweating over it. I am going to walk you through 7 problems you can actually see in a tired July bed and the calm fix for each one. Some of these fixes take 10 minutes. One of them is mostly about not doing the thing your instinct is screaming at you to do. Let's start with the one that makes the biggest visual difference for the least effort. The first thing you probably see is faded, browning flowers. Blooms that were bright a few weeks ago are now spent, going tan and papery, and the whole bed reads as tired, mostly because your eye is landing on all that dead color. The fix here is deadheading, which just means removing those spent flowers. But I want to be careful with you, because this is where a lot of advice goes wrong. Deadheading helps most on repeat blooming plants. Many coreopsis, yarrow, veronica, and perennial salvias can respond with more buds after the spent flowers are removed. Daylilies are a little different. Removing faded blooms keeps them tidy, and removing developing seed pods can keep the plant from spending energy on seed. But whether a daylily sends up another flush depends on the cultivar. Deadheading will not turn a once-blooming daylily into a rebloomer. On plants that do respond, cut the finished stem back to a healthy leaf or side shoot rather than clipping off only the petals. But not every plant works that way, and this is the part people miss. Some perennials bloom once and are simply done for the season, and no amount of snipping brings them back. Peonies are like that. Old-fashioned bearded iris is like that. Cutting on those hoping for a second show just gives you a haircut and no flowers. For those, you tidy the spent bloom stalk if it bothers you, and you leave the healthy foliage alone, because that foliage is feeding the plant for next year. And here is the honest caveat I want you to hold on to for the whole video. Deadheading can encourage more bloom. It does not guarantee it. Weather, heat, and the specific plant all get a vote. So think of it as improving your odds and cleaning up the view, not flipping a switch. 10 minutes with pruners, focus on the rebloomers, and step back. The bed already looks noticeably fresher, and you have barely started. The second thing you are likely looking at is a plant that has flopped open in the middle. You know the look. The catmint that was a tidy blue mound in June has split apart down the center and sprawled onto its neighbors. The perennial salvia has gone to seed, and the bottom of the plant is bare stick. The hardy geranium has opened up in the middle and thrown itself across the path. These plants are not sick. They finished their first big show and they are exhausted and shapeless. For this specific group, the fix is a real haircut, and it is more aggressive than most people are comfortable with. On a flopped catmint, salvia, or hardy geranium, you can cut the whole plant back by about 1/3 to 1/2 of its height. On a catmint that is 18 inches and splayed, That means taking it down to 9 or 10 inches into a tidy mound. It may look bare at first. If the plant is healthy, well watered, and not being cut during brutal heat, fresh growth often begins appearing from the base over the next couple of weeks. The most reliable result is cleaner foliage and a tighter shape. A second flush of flowers is possible on plants like Catmint and perennial Salvia, but it depends on the variety, weather, and timing. A few real caveats, because I do not want you cutting the wrong thing. First, this hard cutback is for those tired early summer bloomers that flop and go bare at the base. It is not a blanket rule for every plant in the bed. Do not take the shears to something that is about to bloom, or to a plant that only flowers once, or to the seed heads you actually want later, and we will talk about those at the end. Second, timing and water matter. A plant you cut back is being asked to spend energy on new growth, so do not do this to a plant that is already wilting and stressed from heat. Water it well, let it recover for a day or two, then cut, and water again after. And third, the same honesty as before. The cutback usually gives you fresh foliage and a better shape. A second round of flowers is likely on plants like Catmint, but it is not promised. And in a brutal heat wave, the plant may just rest until things cool off. That is normal, and it is not you doing anything wrong. The third problem is the one that hurts to look at. Tall stems leaning hard or already snapped and lying across the plants below. Delphinium, tall garden phlox, the taller rudbeckias, big daisies, anything that carries a heavy flower head up high. By the middle of summer, those stems are at full height and full weight, and it takes one evening thunderstorm with a gust of wind to lay them flat. I am going to be straight with you. The best time to support a tall perennial is early, when the plant is still short and you slip a ring or a few stakes around it and let it grow up through the support so you never see it. If you did that, wonderful. If you are like most of us and you are looking at leaning plants right now, you can still help. You just have to be gentle. Push a stake into the soil close to the main stem, several inches deep so wind does not tip the whole thing, and tie the stem to it loosely with soft twine, not wire, in a loose figure 8 so you are cradling the stem, not choking it. For a clump that has opened up, a grow-through ring, or even a few branchy prunings pushed in around the plant can gather the stems back into a natural upright shape. What you cannot do is fully rescue a stem that has already snapped or badly kinked. That one is a loss, so cut it cleanly and move on, and let the rest of the plant carry the show. The lesson you file away for next spring is simple. Stake before you think you need to. By the time the plant looks like it needs support, the support gets a lot harder to hide. Let me pause for 1 second, because if the first 3 fixes already gave you something you can use this weekend, that is exactly why this channel exists. It is here for people with real yards and real history with this hobby, not quick hacks that fall apart in August. If that is you, subscribing helps more of these land in your feed. Now let's get to the problem that is probably doing the most quiet damage, even though it looks like you are doing everything right. The fourth problem is a bed that wilts every afternoon, even though you are out there watering all the time. This one fools good gardeners because it feels responsible. You step out most mornings, turn on the hose of the sprinkler, give everything a quick drink, and move on. And the plants keep wilting anyway. Here is what is happening under the surface. A quick daily sprinkle only wets the top inch or so of soil, and then the sun takes it back by lunch. The roots learn to camp right up at the surface where that little bit of water is, which is exactly where the soil gets hottest and dries out fastest. So the plants become completely dependent on you, and they collapse the first hot afternoon you are busy. The fix is to flip your watering from often and shallow to deep and less frequent. For most established perennial beds, the old rule of thumb of about an inch of water a week from rain or the hose combined is a good starting point. And you add more in a real heat wave or in fast-draining sandy soil. The key is to deliver it in 1 or 2 long, slow soakings rather than 7 quick ones, so the water actually reaches down 6 or 8 inches where the roots can follow it into cooler, steadier ground. 3 details make this work. Water at the base of the plants, at the soil, not over the top of the leaves, because wet foliage sitting through a humid night is an open door for disease. A soaker hose or a drip line laid right in the bed does this for almost no money and almost no effort. Second, water early in the morning so leaves dry as the sun comes up. And third, stop guessing. After you water, push a finger or a wooden dowel down into the soil. If it is only damp in the top inch or 2, you stopped too soon. If it is moist down 6 inches or so, you got it right. Do that a couple of times and you will never have to wonder again. The 5th problem is easy to miss because it is on the ground, not the plants. Look at the soil between your plants. If the mulch has thinned out, broken down, washed into low spots, or pulled away so you are seeing bare dirt, your bed is working a lot harder than it needs to. Bare soil in summer sun heats up fast and loses moisture to the air quickly, which means those shallow feeder roots are baking and drying at the same time, and no amount of watering keeps up. The fix is one of the most satisfying afternoons in the garden. For shredded bark or shredded leaves, aim for a total mulch depth of about 2 to 3 inches across the open soil. If you are using finished compost as a top dressing, keep that layer closer to about 1 inch, because compost is finer and behaves more like a soil amendment than coarse mulch. You do not have to remove the old material. Measure what is already there and add only enough to reach the right total depth. That layer helps moderate soil temperature and slow moisture loss. One rule you cannot skip: keep the mulch pulled back a few inches from the crown and the stems of every plant. Do not pile it up against the base like a little volcano. Mulch mounded against a stem traps moisture right where the plant is most vulnerable and invites rot and disease. Leave a small breathing gap around each plant, a couple of inches of clear space right at the base, and let the mulch do its job everywhere else. This one fix quietly makes every other thing you do, especially the watering, work better for the rest of the summer. The 6th problem is the one where I most want you to slow down and look before you act. You spot leaves that look wrong, a white, dusty film on the surface, or spots, or a coating that makes the plant look like someone shook flour over it. The instinct is to grab a spray bottle and hit the whole bed. Please do not guess. Different leaf problems have different causes and different answers, and the wrong spray on the wrong problem just costs you money and stresses the plant. So identify first. That white powdery coating on garden phlox, bee balm, peonies, and other susceptible plants is often powdery mildew. It is usually most severe in shaded, crowded areas with poor air movement. Thin only enough stems to improve airflow and allow more light into the plant. Watering at soil level in the morning is still good general practice because it reduces the risk of several other leaf diseases. But powdery mildew is different from many fungi. It does not need wet leaves to infect. Keeping the foliage dry by itself will not stop it. If you catch the first few infected leaves early, pinch those off and discard them, but do not strip a large part of the plant and leave it without enough healthy foliage. For a valuable plant with a history of severe powdery mildew, use a product specifically labeled for powdery mildew and follow the label exactly. Low-impact options may include sulfur, potassium bicarbonate, or horticultural oils, depending on the plant and the product label. These treatments protect healthy tissue. They do not remove mildew that is already coating the leaves. Skip homemade baking soda mixtures because their results are inconsistent and the salts can injure foliage when the mix or timing is wrong. And the real long-term answer, if a plant gets hammered by mildew every single July, is to replace it with a mildew-resistant variety. Those exist, they are not expensive, and one swap can end a fight you have been losing for years. If the marks on your leaves are not a dusty white film, then it is a different problem. So get it identified before you treat it, rather than spraying blind. The seventh problem is really a temptation more than a sight. The bed looks pale and hungry and a little sad, and every instinct you have says, feed it. Walk to the shed, grab the fertilizer, give it a boost. This is the moment I most want to stop your hand. Because in the heat of summer, heavy feeding often does more harm than good. Here is the reasoning. In high heat, most established perennials are not in a big growth push. They are coasting, conserving, waiting out the hot stretch. Hitting them with a strong, fast, high-nitrogen fertilizer in that state can burn stressed roots, and it can force out soft new growth at the worst possible time. So the general guidance from extension programs is straightforward. Do not fertilize perennials that are under heat or drought stress, and ease off the heavy nitrogen as you head into late summer, because that tender late growth does not have time to toughen up before cooler weather arrives. There is an important distinction, though. This caution is mostly about established perennials in the ground and strong, fast-release, high-nitrogen products. Many established perennial beds do not need additional fertilizer unless a soil test or a specific plant problem shows a real deficiency. If you want to improve the soil surface, you can apply a thin top dressing of finished compost, about 1 inch, kept away from the plant crowns. But compost is not an instant cure for yellow leaves, and pale growth can also come from watering problems, root stress, soil pH, or disease. Containers are different. Frequent watering can carry nutrients out of the potting mix, so container plants may need light, label-directed feeding through summer. For an established bed that looks tired in the heat, diagnose first rather than assuming it is hungry. Now, before we do the final walkthrough, I want to talk about the fixes you should not make. Because a big part of a good July bed is knowing what to leave alone. When a bed looks a little ragged, the urge is to tidy everything, cut everything down, clean it all up. Resist that. Leave useful seed heads on plants that produce them. Coneflowers, black-eyed Susans, and some seed-bearing ornamental grasses can provide food for birds and structure later in the season. Leave healthy green foliage after the flowers fade, because those leaves are still photosynthesizing and supporting the roots and crown. Later, once selected stems have dried, leaving some of them through winter can provide structure and shelter for wildlife. Diseased, collapsing, or badly decayed material is different and can be removed rather than left in the bed. A bed that is a little wild in the right places is not neglected. It is working. The skill is telling the difference between a mess and a habitat. And once you can see it, you do less work and the yard does more for you. So let's put it all together into a simple walk you can do this weekend. 6 moves, in order, and you only do the ones your bed is actually asking for. Cut. Deadhead the spent flowers on your repeat bloomers and give the flopped early summer plants like Catmint and Salvia their haircut. Water. Switch to 1 or 2 deep, slow soakings at the base in the morning instead of daily sprinkles. Mulch. Top it back up to 2 or 3 inches and keep it pulled off the crowns. Support. Gently stake or ring the tall leaners and forgive the ones that already snapped. Inspect. Look closely at any off-looking leaves and identify the problem before you treat it. And leave alone. Protect the seed heads, the healthy foliage, and the standing stems that do a job later. That is the whole reset. Notice what is not on the list. You are not digging anything up and moving it in the worst heat of the year. You are not dumping heavy fertilizer on stressed plants. You are not spraying the whole bed on a guess. You are reading the bed, making a few small, correct moves, and then getting out of its way. That gives a tired midsummer bed a much better chance of holding its structure, healthy foliage, and some color into fall without turning your weekends into a second job. I would genuinely like to know where you are gardening and what you are working with, because the timing on all of this shifts with your climate. So tell me 2 things down in the comments. What state are you in, and which one of these 7 problems is the most obvious in your beds right now? The faded flowers, the flopping, the leaning stems, the wilting, the thin mulch, the funny-looking leaves, or the urge to feed it. Read what other people write too, because you will spot your own yard in somebody else's answer. Take it one problem at a time. Start with the one that bothers you most every time you look out the window, and let the rest wait until next weekend. Your beds have carried you since spring. A calm afternoon of the right small fixes is how you carry them the rest of the way.